Welcome to Chapter 16 of our Civil War unit, Women and the War Effort. Working women. During the Civil War time period, many families still lived on farms, and while the men were away, the women and children had to tend to them. This work included the very physical tasks of planting and harvesting the crops. While this was difficult work, farms in both the North and West still produced the same amount of food thanks to these women. Women also helped with other jobs, including making bandages and sewing uniforms and other clothing to send to the battlefield. Some women worked for the army either as a mail carrier or as a spy. A few women even managed to disguise themselves so they could join the fight. All of their efforts were essential to the successes of both sides. Sally Tompkins. She lived from 1833 until 1916. She was the daughter of Revolutionary War veteran Colonel Christopher Tompkins, and she was the youngest of 8 children. She privately sponsored a hospital in Richmond, Virginia during the Civil War. She helped heal both Confederate soldiers and Union prisoners, believing that saving a life was more important than which side the person fought for. While most hospitals during the war were extremely dangerous, Sally Tompkins Hospital boasted the lowest death rate during the Civil War. This earned her the nickname Angel of the Confederacy. When she died, she was buried with full military honors. Clara Barton. She lived from 1821 until 1912. She began her career as a teacher in New Jersey, opening the first free school in that state. Later, she became the first woman to work in the federal government when she was a clerk in the U.S. Patent Office. When the Civil War began, she asked Army officials for permission to help wounded men on the battlefield. In 1862, she arrived on the battlefront with a wagon full of supplies for the field hospital. She brought her wagon and other supplies to help feed and heal the soldiers on the battlefields, including Antietam. She earned the nickname Angel of the Battlefield. Origins of the American Red Cross. Before the Civil War, only men served as nurses. Women were accepted into the profession out of necessity during the war because all of the men were fighting. The Army Corps of Nurses included over 3,000 women by the end of the war. After the Civil War, Clara Barton ran the Office of Missing Soldiers in Washington, D.C., still hoping to serve the brave men who had fought for their country. In 1869, Barton took a vacation to Geneva, Switzerland, the headquarters of the Red Cross. The Red Cross was an organization that provided relief voluntarily during times of conflict without taking a side. After Barton was invited to represent the Red Cross in America, the American Red Cross held its first meeting in Washington, D.C. on May 21, 1881. Spies. Battlefield intelligence was essential to victory during the Civil War. Spies and scouts were sent out before battles to gather reconnaissance in order to give their side the advantage. Spies often disguised themselves by dressing in normal clothes or the opposing side's uniform. If a spy was caught, the penalty was often hanging. Women were used as spies by both sides because they weren't as suspicious and they could infiltrate the other side more effectively. Summary. While unable to fight in the war, women still made a major contribution as nurses and spies. Please make sure you have all the terms and the summary written down.